Hello, and welcome everyone. My name is Francisco Cantu, and I am back again as I am on every Monday evening for another live stream session. I should be live on both YouTube and Facebook. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome for the first time. If you are a recurring watcher for this live streams, then welcome back. Just to give you a little bit of an overview as to what the next 45 minutes to an hour are going to look like, I have prepared a presentation for you all. As a matter of fact, here's a little tease of what today we will be discussing, and that is the 3 biggest mistakes that parents make when their students are in high school. So that should be very pertinent to you parents out there. And I will get started with that in just a second. I'm going to go over the biggest pitfalls, common misconceptions, urban legends, things that mistakes that parents make every year. However, before I go to that, I have a couple of housekeeping announcements that I want to make. And then after the presentation, I will go into a Q&A session. So if you have been watching these live streams in the past, you know that the last 15 to 20 minutes of these presentations, I spend going over both the feeds on YouTube and Facebook. I read the comments. I give you answers, tangible steps, things to do. So it can be related to whatever it is that I talk about throughout the presentation, or it could also be related to anything and everything that you are wondering about that pertains to your particular situation. So it doesn't have to be related specifically to what I am talking about in the presentation. So to get us started, or as I go through the housekeeping announcements that I have, you can let me know in the chat where you are watching from and whether you are a parent or a student. That would help me kind of get an idea of who my audience is, what I should be focusing on in terms of examples for the presentation. It also makes it more engaging and more dynamic for me if I can sort of get a back and forth with the audience. So do let me know in the comments where you are watching from. And as you do that, I'm going to get started with some of the announcements that I have. Number one is, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is the best way to get notified and be in the loop whenever it is that we drop new content. We try to keep everything very topically relevant. So in October, we're talking about the FAFSA. During the summer, we talk about extracurricular activities. And we try to keep all of our information and content relevant to what you should be doing throughout the year to be on top of the college application process as far as deadlines and timeline. So if you have not already done so, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that's the first announcement. Second announcement is, similarly, if you have not followed us or been following our content throughout or across our social media platforms, we have the same handle on everything, Best College Aid USA, and that is the same on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So if you want to give us a follow and populate your timeline with information related to strategies, tips, ways in which you can help your students, then this is a great opportunity to do so. Next announcement. I'm going to go through the presentation. It's a short one today, very concise to the point. But if after the presentation, let's say you learned a lot or you are left with more doubts, we do have a free training on the 6 strategies to help your child get accepted to college. And basically, the reason why we have this is right now I'm going to be talking about, as I teased earlier, the 3 biggest mistakes parents make when their kids are in high school. However, there are cases in which after I'm done with the live streams, I get DMs or I get messages, emails of parents asking me about, I'm wondering about extracurriculars, or I'm wondering about the different ways to finance a college education, or I'm wondering about GPA, standardized test scores. So they're asking questions about, a general level topic or about the overall process. And because we can only cover so much content throughout these live streams, we do have a catch-all presentation, which is the free training that I have in the description below this video. And that is a way for us to kind of refer you to that video. And I pre-recorded it, so it's pre-recorded. David and Laura helped me edit it. And it's all you have to do. Actually, I will show you. I'm sharing my screen right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, that's a little meta. This is me watching myself on YouTube. But if you scroll down to the video description and you go to show more, you're going to see a couple of useful resources. So the third one is the webinar So we're going to have 3 resources for you, and these are some of the announcements that I have left for you. So the last one is the free webinar that you can go ahead and register for. It's a presentation that summarizes the overall process, and you click on it, it will take you to a sign up page. All you have to do is put in your name, email, and phone number, and you'll be registered to watch that free presentation. As I told you, it's pre-recorded. It's edited to be very concise with screen sharing and very to the point. So you can go ahead and register for that right there. It's 45 minutes, so it's about the same length as this live streams. So that's an additional resource that you have in case you are left wondering or want to get more of an overview of the process, all right? So that is the second to last announcement that I have for you all. And then the last announcement that I have for all of you, and again, I'm going to get started with the presentation in just a second. I'm going to do the Q&A session at the end of the live stream, as I always do. But because this live streams, and the reason why I'm able to go on for an hour in our English channels on Mondays, on YouTube and Facebook, and then on Tuesdays on Instagram and TikTok, and do it all over again in Spanish at 6 p.m., is because of the sponsorship that we have by the Best College Aid full paid program. So let's say you watch this live stream, you get a lot of value, you watch the free presentation, you get a lot of value, and you're interested in learning more about how we can help you in a more personalized way through our online program. We are running a special Easter sale of 60% off the Best College Aid full paid program. It goes from $9.97 right now for a limited time, which ends tonight. You can go ahead and pay and register and become part of Best College Aid for $397 or 3 monthly payments of $177. All right. So you can access this link or this discount if you go to the YouTube video. If you go to our YouTube video on the video description below, the first email is our special to join Best College Aid with the special discount of 60% off that ends tonight at 11:59 p.m. All right. So again, that is if you're interested in getting beyond the Q&A that I'm going to do at the end of this presentation, beyond the live stream that I'm doing right now, beyond the free training that we have in the link in my bio. We have a lot of families who want to know more about how we can help them specifically, and that is through our full paid program. You can check out that link at the end of, or at the bottom of the video of this very same live stream is the first link, and you're going to be able to access the 60% discount that we are currently running on our Best College Aid full paid program, all right? And that's the same program. If you want to see some testimonials, we have on the third link below this video, you can see some testimonials. This has been a very, very, very successful admission cycles for our Best College Aid members. We've had students getting accepted to Northwestern, UNC Chapel Hill, Duke University, the University of Florida, FSU, University of Miami, Texas A&M. So we've had a wide array of success in universities from, all over the country that you can check out in the testimonials if you are interested to see what some of our members are up to right now as they're going through their senior year, all right? So that is it for the announcements that I had, or the housekeeping items that I had for you all today. As promised, I'm going to get started with the presentation right now, and after I'm done with that quick presentation, ask your questions in the chat. As I see, actually, I saw some questions a little bit ago. Let me find them in the chat. Let's see. Keep asking your questions so I can see them. It doesn't seem the chat, for some reason I can't see the questions, but if you keep on asking them, I'm going to figure that out so that I can share your questions in the presentation as they come along and I can answer them, all right? But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with today's presentation. All right, 3 biggest mistakes that parents make. Today, I'm going to be going over the common pitfalls, some things that parents make the mistake of committing every year, and hopefully this will reach you on time so that you are not one of those parents, all right? So very first thing that I want to share with you all today is failing to complete financial aid form and scholarship forms, and this is a big one, all right? So as a matter of fact, today I had a couple of calls with clients and potential clients who were talking to me about their current financial situation, and that they were concerned about, number one, we deal with all sorts of students through Best College Aid. We have students whose main concern is because they're high achievers and because they come from a family of college graduates, they are setting their sights on Ivy League level universities, and they really want to go to the most competitive institutions, and they come from families that make well over six figures, and they are worried about how they're going to be able to finance college because they've heard a lot of urban legends or myths about, well, if you make above a certain amount of money, they're not going to get any help and scholarships. Now, why that is important to highlight and talk about is because there are, as I've mentioned in every live stream, and I want to take the opportunity to reiterate again, there are 4 different types of financial aid and scholarships that a student could receive, or 4 different levels or entities. The federal government, state aid proportioned or given out by the state in which a student goes to high school, and then if they end up attending university in the same state. Then there is institutional awards. There are institutional awards given out by the universities themselves. And then the 4th type is private aid. Okay, so those are your private corporations, your Coca-Colas, your Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, your religious groups. So between federal, state, institutional, and private aid, a student can compile different sources of income to go ahead and pay for college. Now, within those 4 types of scholarships or grants or sources of funding, a student could qualify for awards based on 2 criteria: need and merit. Okay, so what a lot of parents make the mistake of thinking, or a big narrative that circulates around every year, is that if parents make above a certain amount of money, they shouldn't bother to fill out the FAFSA, they shouldn't bother to fill out the CSS profile, they should not bother to look for scholarships because they make too much money, so it's a waste of time. Now, while there is a relationship between earning a lot of money and having less demonstrated financial need, when it comes to calculating something called the EFC number, which is the whole reason why you fill out the FAFSA, is to get your EFC number, your estimated family contribution number. While income does relate to EFC number, the higher it is, the higher the estimated family contribution. There are other criteria, right? There is number of dependents in the household at the same time, how many students are going to college at the same time, and there are other variables that affect what is going to end up being the estimated family contribution number. So within that, within the realm of need-based aid, there is a level of complexity that expands beyond just how much money the parents make. So a student or a family could have, a high income, but they could still have a low estimated family contribution number based on the different factors. All right, so that's something that I want to point out. But then in the realm or the universe of merit-based awards, a student could be the richest individual in the country. They could come from the wealthiest of families. But if they have or they meet the necessary criteria to qualify for certain state-sponsored programs that have, a GPA or an SAT or ACT requirement as a baseline, or if they, meet eligibility criteria to qualify for prestigious, scholarships that have a GPA requirement as well, all of these scholarships that are tied to merit could have, and in most cases do have, the prerequisite of filling out basic financial aid forms. And in many cases, that is a CSS profile, that is the free application for federal student aid, or if a particular state has an additional form that a student needs to fill out to qualify for state-sponsored awards. So this whole rant, and the whole reason why I'm sharing all this with you, is that a lot of parents who have this narrative in their heads, or this mentality of, I make too much money, we should not be filling out this financial aid forms, our time is better spent doing something else, fail to realize that a lot of the methodology to calculate financial need is more complex than just how much money the parents make, and that merit-based awards could also have the requirement of filling out these forms. So you could disqualify yourself or your students from receiving awards by simply not filling out these forms because you think that they don't qualify, all right, even if they do based on their merit. And then it's super important also for the parents to know that they have a more of an active role with these forms, because they oftentimes require information that is found in the family's tax returns, especially 2 years, specifically 2 years prior from whatever year you are filling out the the forms for. And because if a student is 17 or 18 years old, they might not even know where to find their parents' tax returns, all right? So although many parents have the mentality of, it's my kid's education, it's their problem, they should figure it out. Well, they can't figure it out, or it's not really fair to say that it's just the student's responsibility if a lot of the decisions based on their award packages are going to be derived from your own finances, all right? So it's not fair to say my 17-year-old, 18-year-old has to figure it out by themselves if the amount of need-based awards or the way in which they calculate the need-based awards that they're going to receive are going to be derived from your own finances. You get what I'm saying? So super important to be involved so that you can provide them with the necessary documentation so they can fill everything out on time and so that they have proof of income of the parents or the students, because oftentimes 17, 18-year-olds don't know how to access any of this information, all right? Next up, second thing that I want to talk to you all about is, or a big second mistake that parents make, is thinking that the high school college counselor at the student's high school is going to figure everything out for them. So I've been talking to a lot of teachers over the last few weeks. As a matter of fact, if you check out in one of the resources that we have under this video, I told you all about the free presentation, the webinar that we have. Told you about the 60% off discount that we are running right now. But if you go under the YouTube video, the second resource that we share is an interview from 2 days ago with Christopher and Emma Relium. They are members of Best College Aid. And as a matter of fact, Emma is attending Northwestern University with a financial aid award package of worth around $300,000 across the 4 years of her education. And it just so happens that her dad, Christopher Relium, is a teacher. It's a teacher who is very involved in education and played a stellar role in her success. And, we were talking about the ways in which public schools are funded. And we were talking about how even if a high school college counselor, the high school college counselor available at for students for no cost at all, even if they have the best disposition and the clearest intentions to help, unfortunately, in a lot of institutions, in a lot of high schools, they lack the infrastructure and the resources to sit one-on-one with a student. And this is corroborated by the fact that a national average, there are 450 students per every single college counselor at a high school. All right. So even if they were the best college counselors available, odds are that at your student's high school, they just don't have enough time to meet one-on-one with every single one of their students, much less the students and their parents, plus addressing all of their concerns. All right. So automatically assuming that they're going to figure everything out with your kid, unless your student is attending an outlier institution that has very standardized and well-structured or a good infrastructure for their counselors to meet with the students, which again is very, very rare. Assuming that everything's going to be figured out by the high school counselors who are underpaid, understaffed, under-resourced, is something that you should just not rely on, because it's better to assume that they're not going to help you out and whatever service they can provide for you be a surprise, than to assume that they are going to figure everything out for your student and then realize that, when it's time to apply for college, they are not in the loop as to where your student is going to be applying to. Their transcripts are not being sent out on time. So again, it's much better to spend those last 2 years or 3 years or all 4 years of high school being that overbearing student that chases down their college counselor at their high school to send out their transcripts or to refer them to scholarships or to inquire about information, than to sit back and wait for them to contact you, because the way that the system is structured right now, they just don't have the means to reach out to every single student one by one and review every case, all right? So that's just something that I want you all, especially parents out there, to be cognizant of, that there is a big problem in terms of staffing and in terms of resources allocated for these high school counselors, all right? And that is why I do these live streams every week, why I finish them with a Q&A session at the end, why we have the free training in the link below this video, why we're running an Easter sale, why we do what we do, is precisely to combat this problem in terms of a lack of information being democratized and accessible for families and their students, right? So that is why we do what we do, and hopefully you are taking advantage of these resources by asking questions, watching this live stream, registering for the free presentation, and if you want even more resources, that's what we offer, the Best College Aid program, who is kind enough to sponsor these live streams. The last mistake that parents make that I want to share with you all today is very basic, but needs to be addressed so that you don't make this problem or make this mistake, and that is not understanding how the college admissions process works, especially the case with parents who went to college decades ago, who went to college, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, whenever the case might be. The college admissions process has changed a lot, both from the academic standpoint and what it's required in order to be a competitive applicant, and also from different financial structures and how much a student needs in terms of funding to finance their education. There was a time where a summer job for 3 summers was enough to completely take care of the cost of college, and now the rate at which tuition has grown and how it is disproportionately larger than the rate of inflation, it's just incomprehensible how much more expensive a college degree is. So assuming or thinking that you understand the process, if you have not been involved in seeing all the current changes, the application requirements, especially even from 2020 to now with COVID and a lot of the restrictions that put in standardized testing, a lot of schools going test optional or test blind, adopting different application process, timelines, criteria, going, even in the last few years, there's been a dramatic change in the way that the college application process works. And unfortunately, parents who don't understand this just make the mistakes that I talked about earlier in terms of assuming that their students should just rely on their high school counselor, or assuming that they don't need to fill out certain financial aid forms. And overall, it just speaks to a big misinformation problem that I do not want you all to be caught up on. So that is why it's important for you to be watching live streams like this one, registering for the free presentation in below this video, so that you're informed as to how the process works, and you don't just assume that what your students, friends, parents, cousin is saying that is true to be the new law for college applications in the US. All right, you gotta get your information from reliable sources, and you gotta really commit to learning the process so that you understand what matters, what doesn't matter, what's a rumor, what's true. And that is why kudos to you if you're watching this live stream. All right, so those were the 3 things that I wanted to share with you all. However, I do want to leave you, before I get to the Q&A session portion of this video, with an invitation to watch the latest interview that I had over the weekend with Emma and Christopher Relia. They talk about, Emma was accepted to over 10 of the most competitive universities in the US. She was phenomenal, really dominated this process, and it is a very remarkable interview in terms of what Emma and her dad are able to convey in terms of motivation and actionable steps that parents and students can take at any stage of the process to really commit to pursuing the steps that contribute to a good application, college application. All right, so that is something that I invite you all to watch. So again, 3 very important resources that I have below this video, and that is, if I'm able to share the screen one more time, here it is. Okay, so if you are watching on YouTube, you go to the description below this video, you're going to see 3 resources. Number 1, our Easter special, that is to join Best College Aid with a 60% discount that ends tonight. Our Easter sale is 60% off from $997 to $397. All right, and here we talk about everything that the membership includes, all of our online courses, all of our study materials for the SAT, for crash course books at a discount, discounts for Dell Technology equipment, test prep materials for the SAT, live Q&A sessions for members, downloadable files, and many, many more resources. All right, so that is the first resource that I share. Then I share here the interview with Emma and Mr. Relia. And here she talks all about her success. We talk about how Best College Aid helped. So if you're before you commit to joining Best College Aid, or if you want to learn more about our program, you can watch this interview and get a little bit of an insight as to how we operate. So that is the second resource. And then the last one is our free training. If you don't want to commit to joining Best College Aid just yet, you want to learn more about our program, you want to get a free presentation like the one that I just went through, but in a more comprehensive pre-recorded format, you can go ahead and check out this free webinar. And here it's pre-recorded. You register down here, and it's 40. The webinar is like 55 minutes, 45 minutes of which is a presentation like the one I just gave, but it's screen recorded, and it's very straight to the point. It's a little bit more dense than this live stream. And then the last 10 minutes, I talk about everything that Best College Aid includes. I share a discount with you all, and it is kind of a way to ease into learning about our program and making that decision whether or not you're interested in joining or not. But that's just something that I wanted to share with you all as far as resources that we have for you. All right. And then I want to share the final announcements. Oh, that's exactly what I just did. Yeah, the final announcements of the Easter sale, the interview with Mr. Elliott and Emma, and then the free training. All of that is below this video. All right. With that being said, I'm going to check if we have any questions in the chats. I saw that Jenna Dean said hello. Laura said hello. A parent joining from New Jersey. So I don't seem to have any questions for the Q&A portion of today's live stream, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to assume that that's based on the fact that everything was explained really, really well. I do invite you all to, once again, take advantage of the 3 resources that I have for you all below this video. Easter sale ends tonight, 11:59 p.m., and that is 60% off to join the full paid Best College Aid program. If you want to learn more about the program or our success stories, you can watch the interview that I had 2 days ago with Christopher and Emma Aurelia. And finally, if you want to have a free training, if you want to learn more about the overall process and how you can go through it in such a way that elevates the competitiveness of your student's college application, go ahead and register for a free training. And I will be back on our Instagram and TikTok channels tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. And I will be doing the same presentation. I will be doing a Q&A session at the end there as well. So make sure to follow us if you don't already do so across our social media channels at Best College Aid USA. And if you don't join us tomorrow on Instagram and TikTok, I will be back here on YouTube and Facebook next week at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, all right? It was a pleasure to spend this last 30 minutes with you all. Hopefully I see you all inside Best College Aid or in another one of our live streams next week. Take care.